Hello Internet, I'm the Disney Brain and welcome to the Andi Mack review. After a 2-week absence from the show, you'd expect things to really swing into high gear going to the final 4 episodes of this season. Also, yes, episode 13 will end season 1 from what I can gather, and Andi Mack has officially been renewed for season 2. No real surprise there, but this review structurally will be a little different than the others for a few reasons. 1. This episode doesn't have a plot so much as it has a series of various plot points, and 2. Because of reason number 1, not much actually happens here. But spoiler warning anyway, even though you really don't need one. So, what exactly did happen in episode 9? Well, Andi is still feeling a bit sad, then isn't, then we get what could be a great plot point digging into Bex's history with Cece, but then that digging is firmly stopped for no real reason. We get Jonah being avoidant and then that passes quickly, then he's trying to get birthday card crafting advice from Andi after Bex dolls her up, and how did we even get here? We also have the return of Marty from the party and one of the most forgettable and honestly just lazy side plots this show has ever given us. Buffy dips his shoes in toilet water and doesn't know what an apology is, and what is even happening right now? And then Bex and Andi move out. But unfortunately, this show went to the 16 Wishes school of understanding how renting works, which is to say that they don't. And as absurd as my description just sounded, that is really the whole episode in a nutshell. She's Turning Into You could have been a great episode, but that's not really the main issue here. It's bigger than that, because at this point, Could Have Been Great has been my tagline for at least 3 episodes, including now the most recent 2. The very best episodes of this show mostly take a very focused, bold, and at times quietly beautiful approach to their topics, and even when there are side plots, many of them are able to carry their own weight because of what they do with them. But for the second straight time now, Andi Mack has grown a bit lax in its structural integrity, as well as its ability to use that integrity to fearlessly attack their chosen subject matter. It feels like they've already started falling into the pattern that defines some of the lesser season 3 episodes of Girl Meets World, where you could see how great an episode could be, but it just wasn't, because the execution and focus wasn't all the way there. The main issue with this episode is not what they're trying to do, but how they're doing it. They crammed 3 or 4 mini episodes with half-measure resolutions into a single one that's already about 3 minutes shorter than your average episode, making it that much more rushed in pace. I've praised this show many times over for how it usually handles its continual flowy story structure, but this time it feels like they took it 3 steps too far and tried too hard to fit too much to set up too much for later episodes. And more damning than even that, as I mentioned, is not digging deeper into any of it. Andi alone goes through 3 different plots in this episode, and ends inside a 4th one for next week. And beyond even that, the episode title is nothing more than a throwaway gag so Andi could get some payback on Cece, despite not knowing the full story. Again. Here's what the episode should have been. At the start, parlay Bowie leaving into the Cece-Bex conflict. Start with that, before even the opening credits. Then, go immediately to the part where Andi gets caught in the middle of that same conflict, and use that as a springboard for unraveling at least part of this mother-daughter history. Give both mothers a platform to represent themselves and their perspectives on the matter, but, of course, don't make either side more obviously correct. Then, make the highlight of the episode an emotional breakthrough for Bex, who has had enough of trying to appease her mother and has started setting her sights on improving her own life and that of Andi's. And by finally focusing on that, it would initially piss Cece off, but down the line, Bex would finally earn that oh so coveted "I'm proud of you" from Mother Dearest as a direct result. Also, consider changing the title for the sake of subtlety. If Cece's worried about Andi turning into Bex, downplay those moments and make them matter, because if Bex being who she is put her in this position, then obviously Andi becoming her matters a hell of a lot to Cece. Jonah is great, but cut his part out. We don't need it here. We all would have survived just fine without him for 1 episode, and his involvement here is the most scattershot thing about this plot. And lastly, if you really want to keep the Buffy Marty stuff floating around to break up the family tension, fine, but at least try to frame it in a unique way relative to his other appearances. That's all it would have taken to make this episode great. But let me be perfectly clear here. She's Turning Into You is not necessarily a bad 20 minutes of television. It has a few good moments and a couple nice character interactions, But from where I'm standing, it's a dud by Andi Mack standards. We all knew this was going to happen eventually, it was all a matter of when. I was fully convinced that Terms of Embarrassment would be the lone disappointment for the season, but unfortunately I stand corrected on that. Both episodes are extremely similar in terms of the reasons they aren't great, but at least Bowie's involvement last time made Terms of Embarrassment better. Interestingly enough, he leaves and the very next episode seems lost without him. The best thing Andi Mack can do now is latch on to another great purpose. We had the father mystery early on, but now that's done. Bowie's arrival gave us arguably the best episode of the series so far, but now he's gone. So whether it's digging deeper into the side characters or getting more from the Mack women, Andi Mack needs to once again find its focus. And ideally, it'll do that in just 1 week's time. But until then, thanks for watching.
What would be?
Hey, Macklemore, can we go thrift shopping?
Ice on the fringe is so damn frosty, the people like,
damn, that's a cold ass honky.